Hey, thanks for stopping by. This is AgriNow, a podcast by Tridge. Stay in the now with Tridge's agricultural insights and data. Let's get on to the updates.
Welcome to AgriNow, where conversations around the present global agricultural market start. Currently, millions of boxes of South African oranges are spoiling in containers stranded at European ports. On the other side of the world, pomelo farmers in Taiwan are entering harvest season with looming uncertainties about where their pomelos would be headed. These two independent events are direct results of regulations imposed by importing countries. Hear more about the nature of these regulations and where possible alternative markets would be for these citruses. Today, we're back with Ben, our original podcast host, now turned fulfillment ascetizer, who now has clear answers to our questions. Hi, Ben.
Hey, Bia, it's been a while.
Right, how have you been?
Yeah, I've been doing great, working on turning some of our fulfillment information into data.
Absolutely. And to our listeners who are probably thinking fulfillment ascetizers, two words that people have probably never heard put together, can you explain what you're doing, Ben?
Yeah, sure. So, in essence, I go to the forefront of where agricultural information and data are produced to find insights to share on our platform and integrate into our platform. So, I spend much of my day understanding what's happening on the market right now by talking to our engagement managers, who are buyers, traders, and market experts, and turning these insights into market intelligence products that we can offer on our platform and integrate into our platform.
Which have definitely contributed to some great insights on our platform.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that.
And recently, you all published a global citrus market update for July, which I found particularly insightful.
Absolutely. I've had a lot to do with the global citrus trade in the month of July, and there's been a lot happening.
Yes, please do explain.
Well, let's start by looking at the situation in China, which on the 3rd of August announced a ban on citrus products from Taiwan, a week before the Taiwanese pomelo season is expected to start. And Taiwanese producers are worried about this since in 2021, China received 70% of the total pomelo exports from Taiwan.
70%, that's a significant number.
Yes, so Taiwanese producers are searching for buyers in alternative destinations like Canada, Singapore, and Japan to prevent a price drop during the 2022 season.
Right, and that also comes as China faces an oversupply of citrus, right?
That's correct. So in July, China faced an oversupply of South African oranges. And due to the high supply, the price of oranges dropped by 77%.
Mm-hmm.
But Chinese importers expect the peak sales for South African oranges to occur 10 days before the Mid Autumn Festival in September. So Chinese imports of oranges will increase in that time to cover the demand.
I see. So what would prices be like then?
Well, the current situation and the overall economic situation in China makes it difficult for us to estimate exactly what volumes and prices are going to look like. But what we can safely say is that volumes will increase, and with the increased volumes, prices are expected to come down.
I see. And Australia, another large orange supplier to China, has been experiencing quality issues this season, right?
Spot on. So, according to Australian producers and exporters I spoke to, rainy weather caused quality defects in the fruit, such as puffy skin, softness, and sour taste, which have affected the overall quality of Australian oranges this season.
And given that Australia is a large supplier of oranges to China, this was probably made apparent in the Chinese market as well, right?
Yes, at the Guangzhou wholesale market, 90% of Australian oranges are reported to have quality defects, leading to large disparities in prices on the market. And for South African oranges, this is good news, since South Africa has been struggling to find alternative markets for their oranges.
Yeah, tell us about that. So, in July, the EU imposed new cold treatment regulations on South African oranges, right?
Yes, so the new cold treatment protocol is an effort to avoid false codling moth from hitching a ride from South Africa to Europe, which could become a phytosanitary risk for European producers such as Spain.
And how has the new protocol affected South African citrus producers so far?
So, because this was such a drastic measure, there were significant consequences for both the South African citrus trade as well as the global trade. As many of us know, South Africa exports about 37% of its annual citrus trade to the EU. Now, South Africa is the second largest citrus exporter globally after Spain, and their fruit needs to go somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, fruit doesn't just disappear from the market, right? So, what are the logical alternative markets for South African oranges?
Well, in the immediate term, exporters have diverted shipments to the Middle Eastern markets and some Asian markets, such as South Korea and, as we discussed earlier, China. However, South Africa exported 35% of its oranges to the EU in 2021. This is not the kind of volume that you just find an alternative market for overnight. Now, if we consider market size, growth, and the relationship development over the past few years, the US and China are large alternative markets to explore, and the Middle East also has an appetite for South African oranges, as well as some countries in Asia, such as Bangladesh and Malaysia.
That sounds quite hectic. So, major shifts happening in the global citrus trade. What are the consequences of these shifts in volumes and markets?
So, in essence, what happens in situations like these is alternative markets are flooded with produce and prices plummet, which is exactly what we are observing in the current situation. So, South African producers picked and shipped large volumes of oranges to alternative markets such as the Middle East, China, and South Korea during the month of July, in the hopes that they could still sell at high prices before the price dip. Although this is a natural response, this tends to make the problem worse. So prices have decreased dramatically in both the domestic market as well as these alternative international markets due to the oversupply of oranges.
Are there any solutions to this problem?
Well, the South African government has filed a request for consultation with the EU and the World Trade Organization regarding the decision to implement the new regulations on the importation of South African oranges.
Right, and what's South Africa's argument for that?
The argument is that the EU violated the World Trade Organization agreements, which states that members have agreed not to discriminate among imports from different origins, not to impose sanitary and technical barriers to trade that are discriminatory and are not based on international standards or on sound scientific knowledge. So we will have to see what the outcome of this process is. In the worst case scenario, these cold treatment regulations are upheld into the future and are expanded to South African grapefruit and mandarins in the 2023 season, which will cause further reaching consequences for the global citrus trade.
And with that large amount of volume directed to alternative markets, South Africa's absence surely leaves a gap in the European market, right?
Indeed. So, our distribution managers in Europe are reporting lower volumes of oranges in the market at higher prices. For example, in week 31, orange prices range between 16 and 17 euros for a 15 kilogram box, which represents an increase of 15% compared to week 29, which was 2 weeks ago. So Morocco is in a great position to capitalize on this opportunity. However, heat waves and dry weather have impacted the volumes that they're able to send to European markets. Moroccan prices are expected to increase more than 30% week on week during week 32. Now, the main season for Moroccan oranges is expected to start in October, which also will be severely impacted, with orange export estimated to be down 60% for the coming season.
So there's going to be a shortage of oranges in the European market until at least October, right?
Yes, we will see high prices coupled with low volumes of oranges in the European markets for the next 2 months. The most recent report out of Europe is that Greece is expected to run out of oranges before the end of August unless supplies can be sourced from markets other than South Africa. Now, again, Morocco has a natural alternative market here, but Morocco has limited amounts of oranges, and the question is which European market will receive these oranges and at what prices.
Well, thank you so much for your time today, Ben.
But yeah, thank you very much for having me.
This episode was recorded on August 9th, 2022, with special thanks to Shelly Chen, Al Zhang, Fernando Dupuy, and Elton Grieve.
If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review, subscribe, and share AgriNow. Check out tridge.com/intelligence-data/intro for more price analyses and up-to-date insights into the food and agricultural industry.